the Going to College Education Podcast in association with Quality and Qualifications Ireland, QQI, promoting quality and accountability in Irish education and training.
Hello and welcome to the Going to College series with me, Donnchadh O'Mahony, and brought to you in association with QQI. This two-part series will help you to prepare for a busy few weeks ahead as you weigh up your college choices and get ready for an exciting life at college. For this episode, the CAO Round 1 offers are out, and I'll be finding out what courses are up, what ones are down, and what your options are if you didn't get what you were hoping for. And joining me with their expert advice and information is Aoife McArdle, Guidance Counsellor at the Institute of Education, and Padraig Walsh, the CEO of QQI. You're all very welcome to the show.
Thanks very much. Lovely to be here.
So, Aoife, I'm going to start over with you. Yesterday, we saw some trends coming out with CAO Points. Was there anything that caught your eye, anything up, anything down? What way did it work out?
I suppose the first thing that struck me, Donnchadh, as you know, the Institute, we have a lot of very heavy hitters in terms of points. So we have a lot of students on that 625 mark. And last year, it was very distressing to see so many courses at 625 with random selection. And I suppose we were expecting that again this year, and we were just delighted that there were slightly fewer of them. So we had fewer students really upset that they'd gotten 625. They literally could do no more, and they didn't get their course. So that was a relief to me. You know, economics and finance, which had been sort of the first course to hit 625 a few years ago, everybody on 625 got that this year, whereas last year it had been random selection. So that was kind of the first thing that struck me. I don't know, did you feel that as well?
Yeah, so I was actually reading the Irish Independent yesterday, and I saw that the random selection in 2021 was 75 courses, and this year was 47. So as you were saying, Aoife, down significantly for random selection. And I suppose that's a CEO applicant's worst nightmare is, am I going to get a course based off just a random lottery, or am I going to earn my place onto the course? And if you said, as you said, economics and finance in UCD and global business in DCU were both at 625 points, but thankfully random selection wasn't used, but was used for dentistry in both Trinity and Cork, and for MSIS in Trinity College, which is tough for students who got the maximum points.
So to be a dentist now in Ireland, for the last couple of years, you've had to get 625, and even at 625, it's not enough. So that's a hard pill to swallow, you know. So we're seeing a lot of interest now in Irish students applying to UCAS and applying abroad to study dentistry, because literally they get the 625 here, they can do no more, and they still can't guarantee a place. MSIS is a great course. It's a really interesting course, but it's a small class. But I guess for students who are interested in MSIS, they can look at other courses that might have similar components. So, you know, there's the elements of finance there, of engineering, of problem solving, computer science in MSIS. So they can go into another course in one of those areas. So all is not lost, I suppose.
And Padraig, from a QQI perspective, we saw some courses going down in points significantly. We saw general nursing and we saw primary school teaching made a big dip this year.
Yeah, I mean, on the nursing side, there's always been a huge amount of interest in nursing programs. But as we know from the CAO system is based really on supply and demand. And if you increase the supply of places and the number of places has gone up, while having the same demand, you will get a drop in points. The challenge, as Aoife has identified, around those high points courses on random selection is that in many cases they're tied to things like the number of places that are available on training places in professional programs, for instance. So you literally can't offer one more than the number of places that have been funded. Many of those, although they come through the Department for Further and Higher Education, the actual funding of a lot of the program comes through the Department of Health in terms of the numbers that are there. And then there are other ones you've talked about, like global business, where there is a cohort, and then of course those people travel, and you can't offer their exchange programs as well with American students on a lot of those. So you can't really change the numbers around that. So that is a real challenge. I think the fact that the minister had said that the scaling would be roughly similar to last year, means that there was less movement between this year and last year. And I think there's some comfort in that. I think the problem really is that all of that has been at a higher level than it was previously. And that is going to be very difficult now, because it means we have a whole series of years where you're not able to compare them like with like. And that how that moves forward for the next couple of years, I think, is going to be a real challenge.
Yeah, that's very interesting, Padraig, when you for students and parents listening as to why they can't expand the courses, because if there's a work placement element or an exchange element, so it's interesting to know. And Aoife, coming back to you there, how were the points this year compared to last year?
Again, Donnchadh, very, very high. We've just seen people getting really amazing leaving certs again, extremely high. I know we're not typical in that. We'd always have very, very high achieving students, but yeah, really high. And, for example, we had 77% of our students in French get a H1. I mean, that's incredible. So, yeah, really high points, Donnchadh. On points day, really happy. And yesterday, mostly happy again. So it's been a good year for us. I feel like a lot more satisfaction than in the previous 2 years.
Yeah, I think points are much similar to last year. There was no massive big increase anywhere or a decrease really. So I think most students, because of the amendments made in the Leaving Cert, were happy enough with their points and really then their course as well. So there was no big surprises or shocks. So with CAO then, Aoife, what do students do now?
So I always say, Donnchadh, accept an offer, because you should treat every offer as if it's your last. And there's always a little bit of confusion around this. Sometimes they say, oh, I might refuse it and hope for the best in a second round. And there is absolutely no merit to doing that, as you know. So we'd always say, treat every offer as if it's your last. You might get an offer in a second round or a subsequent round, but there's no guarantees. 98% of college places are filled in round one. So if you get an offer, you should take it. I guess the options follow then. If you didn't get an offer that you're happy with, then you start looking at the other options. Would you like me to talk about some of those maybe?
Well, I'm going to bring in Padraig for that one. Padraig, options then for students who either didn't get a CAO offer at all or didn't get the offer that they wanted. What advice kind of away from the CAO, what kind of things can they apply for?
Well, our own Minister Harris, has been at pains to point out that there are lots of routes for school leavers other than higher education, and that there are routes to higher education other than through the Leaving Certificate, particularly around further education programs and a much greater range of apprenticeship programs that are available. So Level 8 qualifications aren't the only game in town. There are other further education qualifications on the national framework that can provide a bridge to higher education. People can go off and study Level 5 QQI award in a post-leaving cert in a further education college. And in many cases, those programs can lead to higher education directly through the Round Zero quota system that's available. In many of those cases, students find that the assessment system that's used in the further ed system, where you will do more kind of group projects or presentation type work, is probably more suited to the type of experience that you'll have in higher education, where it all won't be terminal exams, which is still what the Leaving Cert is largely about. And in many ways, it's a good preparation, and the persistence for them is good in college. There are people then who find as well, who go through that you can go on and do a Level 6 award and enter the labour market. You can always come back and go into higher education. Many higher education institutions have moved or are moving to make it easier to transfer as well to higher education, further education qualifications. So they removed some of the barriers that were there about having to come with a specific course. And as I said, many courses have quotas reserved for QQI FET award holders. And I know the Minister is interested in increasing the number of those over the years that are ahead. And in 2022, about 5,000 candidates with FET awards applied to the CAO with QQI Level 5 awards. And they're in areas that are suitable for higher education, like nursing studies, business studies, applied social studies, community health services. They're the most popular ones that are there. And on the apprenticeship side, that's becoming increasingly attractive for school leavers. And they're not just available in craft areas such as electrician or plumber or carpenter, but they're now QQI award apprenticeships in areas like auctioneering and property services, counting technicians, cybersecurity analysis, arboriculture, sales. And just this year alone, we validated 2 new programs in wind turbine maintenance technician, obviously with the green economy and all the issues we have about the challenges of imported oil and gas, and also in bar management. And many of those new apprenticeships, it's important to say, are at degree level. So the bar manager apprenticeship is at level 7, ordinary bachelor degree, and other awards in there, like the insurance practitionership, are at honours level degree, honours bachelor degree, level 8 awards. So that allows people, if they want afterwards, to do master's degrees, etc. And there's obviously as well the opportunity to earn as you learn. So there are lots of choices out there. It isn't the end of the world if you don't get what you want, didn't get what you wanted yesterday.
Yeah, and it's important to note, as you pointed out, Padraig, that level 8s, you can get them doing apprenticeship. It's not just going to university or college. I know the insurance one you mentioned is a level 8. There's a recruitment one, level 8, and students should have a little look at apprenticeship.ie if you're interested in studying an apprenticeship. We'll give you all the information that you need there. Aoife, I'm going to come back to you because I got a huge amount of questions the last few days about the appeals process and the CAO. How exactly does that work?
So students would have had to apply to view their scripts on the portal. So on Saturday, tomorrow, they will have access to have a look at their script. So I guess they should go through their scripts very carefully with the marking scheme, making note of any discrepancies that they think have been made in the marking, checking all the maths and checking all the additions that the correctors have made, and making note of that, so that if they decide to appeal, that they can fill in as much information as possible in their appeals process. So then they can request to appeal, and they might go up, but there's also the chance that they can go down, Donnchadh. So I always advise just viewing the script and going through it carefully with the marking scheme before deciding to appeal.
And I suppose it's worth noting that the post-mark adjustment that has come out this year, if you do go up in a grade, that post-mark adjustment will be readjusted as well. So you do have to be careful, I suppose, if you're looking for an appeal. But and again, I was talking to a student last night. You don't actually have to have viewed your scripts if you want to make an appeal, and you can make an appeal onto the candidate self-service portal as well through the AP1 form on that.
Yeah.
And again, Aoife, we've no date of when those appeal results are out.
Sadly not. So there's no guarantee that if they were to go up, that they'd get a place in time for this year, but they do endeavour to do that. So I guess it's just hoping for the best with that, but we don't have any definitive dates on that, no.
And Padraig, can students apply for new courses that are not originally on their CAO, or if they never applied for the CAO at all?
I mean, there are programs that are available, there are courses that are made available afterwards that people can apply for through the CAO system. Aoife will probably know how that kind of Irish version of clearing works better than I would.
Yeah. So the available places on CAO. So even if a student never filled out a CAO application to begin with, it's not too late. They could still apply for a course on the available places. So there are places that are still available on courses that haven't been filled.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting list. I was looking at it today. So it opened Friday at 12 noon, and there's lots and lots of different courses from engineering to arts, humanities, sports science, I've even seen on it. And you just go into your CAO, you put the course you want on available places, highest up on your list where you want it, and then you could be made an offer in the second round for that available place. And if you see points on the CAO website for those available places, they mightn't necessarily mean you won't get in if you don't have those points. As long as you meet all the minimum entry requirements, absolutely have a go and apply for it. And again, if you never applied for the CAO at all, you can still apply for these available places at a cost of €45 and open up account. What about courses abroad, Aoife?
So there are a few courses abroad still. So unicast.ie is a great database of those. Medical Poland still have some places for medicine as well in a couple of universities. So all is not lost if students were disappointed in the CAO. There are still some opportunities abroad. Holland, we're seeing increasingly a lot of Irish students going to Holland. Great opportunities there. They've 7 universities that are higher ranked than UCD. They put you through your paces, and they have much lower points. They don't have points at all, in fact. So it's 2 H4s for most programs. So they really believe in giving students a shot at third level. But apparently it's I'm hearing reports that it's tough going when you're in there, but a very enjoyable and attractive prospect. I think Holland is obviously well known for being a well-run country. They've a health service that we're always looking to for inspiration. So I think it's a very attractive option. And we're seeing a lot of students going to Groningen in particular, but all over the Netherlands. There's also Poland, Italy, a few different countries. So there's 1,800 programs throughout Europe taught through English now. So increasingly we are seeing Irish students take that option and study abroad.
And Padraig, you'd mentioned earlier that if a student did a PLC course, a level 5, that they can apply to the CAO that way. But these accreditations are also recognised in the UK and Europe as well.
Yes, and there are many PLC colleges that have direct routes, really, that have links that they've developed with UK universities that allow people transfer into the second year of a 3-year programme over there because there's been a trusted history in the particular area. So yes, there are people, they're internationally recognised. They're on the National Framework of Qualifications. They're levelled across the European qualifications framework so that people can understand and translate the qualification, and they are accepted by many of the UK universities for advanced entry.
Yeah, I know a huge number of students who've gone to the UK with their PLC level 5 and who've done really well. So they've applied for CAO and UCAS just in case, and have had no problem getting into the UK, and similarly with Europe as well. So Aoife, I'm going to finish the last question with you here today. What about round 2 and beyond? What happens then?
So students have, as we said, we recommend that they accept their round 1 offer, and then should they get a round 2 offer, they can then decide whether to stick with the offer in round 1 that they've accepted, or indeed to accept their new offer. And it goes on like that throughout until we get to round 5. So it's good to have choices later on, but I cannot recommend highly enough accepting your first offer. There's no downside to this. It just buys you a little bit more time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. No downside. You can still go up on your CAO list in subsequent rounds. So I would agree with Aoife there. You know, you can accept your first offer and still have that possibility of getting something higher on your list. Well, that's it for this episode of the Going to College podcast series. And I want to thank my guests, Aoife McArdle and Padraig Walsh, for joining me on the show. Thank you very much. I'll be back next week to discuss how to get the most from your college years with lots of practical advice and tips. So do join me then. I'm Donnchadh O'Mahony, and thank you for listening.
The Going to College Education Podcast, in association with Quality and Qualifications Ireland, QQI, promoting quality and accountability in Irish education and training.